Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and a Simon Cowell accident. Many of you may know Simon Cowell. He's very renowned television judge, you could say, as far as talent goes. He was on American Idol. He was one of the judges there. That's where I believe, he first uh, became, I guess you could say, very prolific and got notoriety and recognition. Now he's on some show, I believe, like America's Got Talent, where he is a host. He's a judge on that show as well. He does a lot of critiquing. Sometimes his criticism, though, can be a little bit, I'd say, inflammatory. And I mean, I understand that's part of the reason he maintains his position, because he says things to others. I don't know if you want to say controversial, but sometimes a little bit over the top, I think, in terms of the statements that they could be very hurtful. A lot of that, I think, is attributed to his moon in Sagittarius, where, I mean, when you're talking about the moon in astrology, can be about our responses to things, and moon in Sagittarius can sometimes respond after. I mean, in his example, in his case, in his chart, when they see something, when he's evaluating talent in response to a song that somebody sings in their style, it can be where he might actually embarrass the person to the point of really demoralizing and demeaning them. Now he's also got the Sun in Libra, and it's interesting because Sun, and he's based on. I mean, I don't have his time of birth, but I had to improvise once again and do a solar sunrise chart. Puts his where I put the Sun at the same point as the ascendant. The Sun is in Libra, Moon in Sagittarius. Yes, those signs are complementary. They're compatible, I should say, with each other. They are sextile by sign, in the aspect it's sextile, which shows, I mean, can indicate certain success, I would say, because the Sun can be how we shine. The Moon can be connected with the public, and the fact that the moon is in Sagittarius, he obviously, the way the public sees him is obviously what I described before. Somebody that really can be very voracious and speak the veritable truth and not really hold back or mince words as far as what is said. Very blunt to the point of embarrassing others at times, but he obviously is good at what he does, and that's why he's maintained like his position, like in this in television, for such a prolonged period. But I was going to say that even though the signs are compatible by sign, it's interesting because they're actually very strongly different in a way, because the Sun in Libra, of course, could be very, I mean, as far as the basic character, can be very tactful and diplomatic, and will often articulate things in a way designed not to hurt somebody. If they're going to say something derogatory, it's often put in more smoother terms. But then you have and he also has Mercury in Libra on top of it. But the moon in Sagittarius seems to come out very strong in his chart for whatever reasons, and it appears to make a number of aspects in the chart that may help matters in terms of it coming out strongly. Sagittarius does things on a grand scale. I mean, maybe that has something to do why I see it coming out strong. The other thing too is that I don't know, and we don't know what time he was born, so we don't know his actual chart. It wouldn't surprise me in his actual chart if the moon in Sagittarius would fall in an angular house, because of course when you have planets in angular houses, they could be more accentuated and emphasized. An angular house, of course, meaning you have the first, the fourth, seventh, or 10th house in a natal chart. In the solar sunrise chart, the moon is in the third house, and this could be an indicator of being an emotional communicator as well, and having a lot of that Sagittarius exuberance and enthusiasm. But getting to the accident, first thing I want to say, my prayers go out to Simon Cowell and his family and friends, and I hope he's gets out of this, relatively. I mean, the surgery has been successful. I believe he was supposed to have it like on Saturday night, so I think it already took place. Now there are, I'm going to talk about some natal placements and transits that might have contributed to this accident. Now, first thing, I mean, I'm looking at, I mean, the Sun in Libra, by itself can have certain susceptibility to injuries to the lower back. Now, I don't know if it was his upper back that was injured or the lower back or both, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was something with the at least included the lower. It could be the lower back by itself. At least had the lower back somehow in this situation. The Sun, again, Sun in Libra. Libra, as far as injuries, debilitations, it can be connected with the lower back. That's what Libra rules. He has Mars conjunct his Sun, and Mars can be about accidents, of course. So there is, when somebody has the Sun conjunct Mars in their chart by itself, that might be a greater propensity for accidents, and it wouldn't surprise me if the lower back was damaged. Now, he also has, I mean, looking at the chart as well, also when I'm looking at it, he's got a interesting, style. I mean, there's a series of conjunctions between, in as far as his planets go, and looking at this at his chart. I mean, he's got the starts out with the Sun in Libra, then followed by Mars in Libra, then Mercury, and then at least a loose conjunction to Neptune. Now, it's interesting, starting out with the Sun. Of course, the Sun could be the physical body. Mars can be accidents. Mercury can be short journeys, could be your vehicles. He fell off an electric bike. And ending with Neptune, interestingly, Neptune can be connected with filmography. So it's not surprising that this is something that we're going to hear reports on in videos. And being in Scorpio, something that could be crisis related. And even though it's the solar sunrise chart, it's interesting that this all falls in the first house of the physical body. Now, another indicator, I mean, and Mars is also surgery, don't forget. So Mars conjunct the Sun, it's more of an indicator in one's chart that there will likely be surgery at some point. I have Mars conjunct my Sun in Cancer in my natal chart, and that could be indicative of perhaps having some surgery on the chest, breast, stomach area at some point in time. And also he has in his natal chart, he's got Pluto conjunct Venus as well. Now, Venus is associated with the lower back in astrology. It does rule, it rules Taurus, but rules Libra as well. So that could be an indicator of surgery on the lower back. And he has it in Virgo, so you're talking about more the surgery, likely maybe more done with more meticulous attention to detail and more this dissection. And another thing looking at too, and again, it's interesting that looking at, I mean, his chart, he also has, interestingly enough, he's got Chiron in Aquarius in the 5th house in the solar sunrise chart. This could suggest some kind of physical wounds at some point from something that happens very spontaneously, very unpredictably, and obviously this is something. Now, I don't think you mean something to him that was very enjoyable being in the 5th house in his chart. Now, he also has transit Neptune, very close proximity to his 6th house in his chart. That could be an indicator of the dissolving of physical health. So I hope he's going to be okay, and this is not like a harbinger of things to come for him. Also, transit Chiron is in his 6th house at this time in the solar sunrise chart, making a loose opposition to the Sun, which is the physical body. Chiron in Aries by itself can indicate wounds, injuries that are associated with accidents. Remember, Aries is associated with accidents being ruled by Mars. Now, another thing right now, it's interesting as well, this is election. I mean, this is not, I'm not even talking about where it's placed in terms of the transit in this chart, but it's interesting that right now, well, at the time I made the video, that the moon in Aries is conjunct Mars, so it's something, it could be an indicator of public surgery from an accident, connected with an accident that is going public. at this time. Also, I noticed too, he's also in his chart, he has transit Sun conjunct Uranus at his natal Uranus at this time. So that could shine the light on something unusual, unpredictable that happened, which was tied in with an injury with the upper back and spine. I don't know if it's actual spine, but you are talking about the upper back. Leo does govern the upper back in astrology. So those are some things I wanted um, to talk about, and I think this is something where he will Colin Simon Cowell is sure a strong person. I think he will get through this. He's obviously not afraid to say really anything if he's gonna when he gives his critiques on these contestants on these America's Got Talent or what have you and on American Idol. I think he will battle this, and he will. I mean, this is you're talking about an injury to the back. I don't believe it's life-threatening or perilous, but he will be out of commission for a little bit maybe, but he will be back. And the moon in Sagittarius, as far as that soul goes, it's somebody that's the incorrigible optimist and a person that is obviously not going to be discouraged readily, and it's a person that's very, very positive, optimistic, upbeat, and expansive. And that's where I'm sure, as far as the public, how they might see him, that's how he can actually how he can be, and where he might be recognized, or how he wants to be recognized by others. So there really not much more I wanted to as far as looking at his chart and anything else that's connected as far as a transit or natal placement tied into an accident. But again, let's just he's in my prayers, and a lot of others have him in their prayers, I'm sure, at this time as well. And really, that is pretty much it. I do expect him to get out of this one way or the other, making a good recovery as far as this goes. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.